Well, we just saw the Disney movie with the highest body count.
Yes, we did. Oh, we're going to get into some spoilers on this one because I'm telling you,
Don't worry, there's no way you can predict what happens in this movie, especially just based off the first, 5 minutes. Would you expect it ends like how it ends the third act? Is that all what you would guess?
No, yeah, I don't even know where to start with this thing, other than, I leaned over to you a couple of points in this to go, was the first one anything like this? Because I've not seen the first one before. So, it reached a point, a couple times I looked over at you and went, was Maleficent in the first one more than she's in this one? Right, it's called Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, in which she is not evil in this movie. She's not the villain.
First one either.
Yeah, she's not the villain in this, and let alone evil, and just even being called Maleficent for what is arguably just a supporting character in this movie that takes a long time to show up in the climax towards the end.
I'm thinking to myself, who's even the main character of this? I guess it's Michelle Pfeiffer. When you think about it, she has probably the most screen time.
She's in it more than Angelina Jolie is.
Yeah.
Elle Fanning, maybe.
But again, that's not even the weirdest fucking thing about this movie.
No, it's not because I spent 75% of this movie mainly sitting there just going I haven't been this unmoved by a movie since Men in Black International.
Yeah, it's boring, it's bland, it makes no sense. But then the third act just goes bonkers.
Yeah, once the writers,
violent and mean, and like I said, what fucking hell of a body count.
Once the writers snort the biggest line of fairy dust in the writers' room. So, and we saw this on, I'd never gone to see a movie in what's called RPX before, which is essentially just IMAX, but the seat also vibrates. So for 75% of the movie, I'm sitting there going, I could be having a nap right now, except the seat keeps jolting me awake. It feels like the popcorn I'm eating is not really sitting well on my stomach, and every now and then vibrates the seats. I'm I don't know if I like this. The size of this screen isn't tricking me into thinking the movie I'm watching is any good, or belongs on a screen this big with the seats that are seemingly snoring. But then, what you can basically describe the first couple acts of this movie as is simply just, it's a fairy tale Meet the Fockers crossed later on with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no, okay, so where the first one's very much, Sleeping Beauty meets Wicked, which is already kind of weird. I don't like the first one that much.
Yeah.
This is very much Sleeping Beauty meets Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Just the whole, oh no, it's us versus them, and all the misunderstandings and everything. But in Pocahontas, I mean, I think 1 or 2 people die or something. Not in history, but, in the movie,
sure,
1 or 2 people die.
Yeah.
And that was treated with a lot more kind of seriousness, at least by the end, than this was. I guess we should just, before we go into the madness, we should say, so, did you enjoy this? It's a tricky question, isn't it?
This was a weird experience because, again, when it started, it's one of those plots that all hinges on characters sort of already knowing this misunderstanding that's happened, but really not saying anything about it because a plot and a war needs to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those plots that
And it's so infuriating, yeah.
Yeah.
It's we know what the hell's we know what the arcs are gonna be, we know what the lesson is.
Yeah.
In the first one, she hates people too, so now it's just gonna be that again, or no, I hate them all, I really hate them. It's we just did this.
Yeah. With the townspeople treating her like she's Shrek.
Yeah. No, honestly, even the dinner, I just want to see Eddie Murphy go, donkey!
Might as well, with it. Okay, all the actors in this movie are it's a cast of contractually obligated actors to be in this movie, and that's what they're acting like, except for the cat, who was really turning in a very good performance, I thought. Like, the cat was funny, chasing in the 30 seconds where it kind of turned into the third story of Cat's Eye, chasing around a troll around the, or I'm sorry, a hedgehog.
Yeah, please. They worked very hard on that Sonic redesign, get it right.
So, for a lot of this movie, for the first 2 acts of it, I was sitting there going like, the dialogue is so bad. This is sitcom levels of misunderstandings and one-liners and puns they're throwing. Like, I knew we were in trouble in like the first scene when, they say something like, don't worry, Beauty isn't sleeping today. And the other one goes, I see what you did there. I'm like, really? This is a nice fantasy land where the term, I see what you did there exists.
Or one of the big jokes is, you know, she's going to marry the prince and she says to Maleficent, he's very kind. And she goes, kind of what? It's like, that's a joke.
Kind of charming, like, says that too. And the
I missed that one.
The tree, the Groot tree there, like, or the monster from Monster Calls, is talking in whatever tree language he's talking in, and Elle Fanning says something like, what did she say? Don't speak to me with that tone of root, or something like that. And
God, you're paying much more attention to this than I was.
The only reason because those are the first couple of lines in the movie, so I'm like, you've set not the best tone for me right now. And even when it's like the awkward, like, sitcom Meet the Fockers kind of situation with the sets of parents meeting each other because Elle Fanning and Prince Charming are getting married, they're all sitting there at the table, and if they could have found a way for him to say this, they would have. It gets so awkward where the prince is this close to going, check please, but he doesn't. He does the gonna need more wine.
Yeah, it does that too. Yeah. So it's interesting because it's kind of, I was saying this is kind of every type of bad.
It is.
Yeah, no, because the first third is annoyingly bad. It's all the, I want to, like, fucking, you know, I wait for it, but I want to fucking kill all of these little creatures and fairies and stuff. And isn't everything so happy? Hi, I'm making the dumb jokes and everything. And then the obvious lesson we're gonna learn, and Maleficent's gotta learn that lesson again. Then the second chunk is so boring. It gets, in a way, it gets a little better because you get those horned people, which are kind of cool. It's like the only bit in the movie I'm like, all right, well, they look a little neat at least, but they were well done. Yeah. And then just the third gets so insane and contextually out of nowhere. I mean, it's just like, where did this come from? And then they just, in the exact same act, they act like it didn't happen. In the exact same day, they just totally act like it didn't happen.
It's
ridiculous. This was a cute fairy tale, and it's like the body count is insane. I literally leaned over. I'll tell you what it is in a second, but I leaned over, making like a morbid joke, saying like, "Wouldn't it be funny if this happened?" And it does. Like, just like, oh my god,
that kept happening in this. Whenever I would think the movie is sort of going one way in a scene, like when this movie has a hilarious version of the shoe scene
from Roger Rabbit,
framed Roger Rabbit in it, involving Warwick Davis as steampunk leprechaun in the movie, and it's the equivalent of that from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and you and I are both thinking the same thing, and it actually happens.
Mr. Valiant,
and it happens with this fairy, and I'm like laughing my ass off, just going, oh my god. And then, of course, they did the hilarious version of that scene, and then you leaned over, jokingly saying what the climax plan was going to be,
and that's what happened.
The climax is the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones.
Quite literally in this case.
Yes, it is. But like, Disney PG Red Wedding in this thing, so it's like powdery a bit, and so when this batshit war is going on in the last half hour.
Clearly the director's like favorite scene to do in this movie, like the only reason he wanted to do this movie was to like just tell this war epic in the last third that just suddenly comes alive and just does not match the tone of anything else.
No, it's hilarious.
But is like Yeah, the tone is so out of nowhere, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's also, in a weird way, kind of well done. It's shot well, it's edited well, it's exciting. But you also don't care a shit because, it's just stupid
lead
lines.
character's
and
also
the character
barely
vanishes. Barely has a line. Even when she comes in at the end, she's like coming in like, okay, here she is, the title character.
Yeah.
And she gets, 2 lines? Something
Pretty
like
much. 2 lines and some looks.
Yeah.
And still manages to do things stupid where certain characters will get injured or something because they're talking too much, so another character has enough time to shoot at them. But when all this random shit is going on in the climax of this film, I was mainly thinking of like when ushers have to come in and like walk down. I don't know if they still do that at theaters, but if they come in and have to walk down the aisles, what insane shit they'll be seeing out of context. Like, they'll be walking in and seeing, like, a giant man bear ripping off the door to a church and a bunch of walking trees and fairies fly out of it. Like, okay. Like, this is a whole movie seemingly made for the Twitter account, one less than perfect shot.
And, like, so many of these cute little adorable characters going, no! Like Fairy Tale Platoon.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Right. Like, it's Pearl Harbor going on. Like,
and so it's weird because the first 2/3 of this movie, I think it's fair to say, it didn't really like. I mean, we've seen worse, but it's not very good.
It was in one ear, not the other.
But now, knowing this is the 3rd act, I kind of want to watch it again because that first 2/3, I think, would just be hilarious.
No, totally.
Just knowing where it's all gonna go.
Yeah, knowing the insanity that's the last half hour of this movie, because so much happens in this small period of time. It would be like you are watching a Pearl Harbor, like the movie Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor happens, love story, the conclusion of the love story, characters getting married, all within the same half hour period of time.
Okay, and let's be honest, the same day.
Yeah.
It happens the same day.
Yeah.
A war happens, it's resolved, a wedding happens, and everybody forgets. Everybody's happy.
People die. People disintegrate.
But then they get together for a wedding.
Yes. People disintegrate. Just imagine you're watching this war scene where people are dead, like disintegrated. And then, hey, they figure out this misunderstanding that happened. Oh, okay, well, this person's a goat now. Fine, that works out. And then this is where we're totally getting into spoilers, but, like, we got to. There's nothing else to talk about with this film. So, the princess, Elle Fanning, is saying, like, we're not done yet. We still need to have a wedding.
And there's literally, so there's this stuff there's this dust powder that they make that turns the fairies literally into, like, ash. And it's done, again, as... If this isn't PG-13, I'd be pretty shocked, honestly. Because there are just fairies and winged people and tree people and stuff like that just constantly being turned to ash. I mean, like, they have these little bombs that go off in the air that just sprinkle the dust, and literally, there's, like, these creatures flying, and then they're just gone to here. Ah! I mean, just like kind of these horrifying yells, and you have other characters looking like, my brother, like that. One of the fucking fairies, the 3 annoying fairies, one sacrifices herself, like going in. Okay, so the thing that I said before, I was like, oh, would it be funny if so they're having the wedding, and all the annoying little fairies are coming in, all obnoxious as fuck, just super annoying, and they come in. And there's this girl that's fucking great in this movie. She's the one constant great thing. She's like, I don't know, the head of being evil security. I don't know. Yeah, but so she sits down at the organ. I'm just like, what do you play? She plays the organ and that red dust comes up. That's what happens.
That's the plan.
She,
they
like,
trap them in the church.
Yes,
exactly.
And they're just all in this room, just like, and the one's like, I mean, it's just all these, just constant death. I don't think I've ever seen a Disney movie with this much constant death.
Well, maybe the opening scene of Pirates 3. But like, so
no, I think this beats.
It might have a
that was
higher
just a few
body
minutes.
count.
This was like a half hour.
Like, at least in that situation was presented as being dark. In this, where, again, they have the character, these fairies and everything, trapped in this church so that she can play the poison organ. And I like that there's a key designated on there.
Yeah, killing in a church on top of that, the more I think about it.
Like pressing the key that's designated to release the dust, and I'm like, I like that she's still committed to this enough to still be playing a song.
Yeah, she's like, oh, and the thing is, she's like, oh.
Like, head of the guard, looks like Pinocchio, like, kinda. And like, yeah, still playing this, and so, when I was... Because it was being so light about this at the end, Elle Fanning coming out and saying, we still need to have a wedding today.
Well, we still got our priest, we got the church, let's go. And like, all these,
they're all hugging it out.
Yeah, the humans and the monsters and the fairies, I mean, this is literally right after, like, one of the tree creatures sacrifices himself to save the fairy, gets sprinkled with the red dust, and like, grass grows out, and he like, dies, like, frozen, like that, and then everyone's just like, it was a misunderstanding, but we still got a wedding to do, come on. And they all just huddle around outside where there's literally like shit still on fire. They haven't even buried their dead, and they're just like, we got a wedding, we got the priest, flowers are gonna wilt.
You say that stuff's still on fire, but it looks fine because Maleficent makes flowers grow.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So because of that, I was expecting like she's gonna do some magic spell,
bring them all back or something.
All be back. No, unless that's a
dead.
post-credit scene, which it shouldn't be. It's showing the two fairies with their third who died, and so I was when the two fairies are cracking jokes at the wedding.
Yeah, they're like changing the color of the dress, like Sleeping Beauty. Get it? TV.
Yeah, I like this color. No, I like this color better. How about this one? And then they look over at a blue flower. Oh, you're like, we miss blue. like who's only been dead for what, maybe an hour. Yeah, and so I was thinking like, okay, it's gonna pan over and the blue fairy's gonna be there or something.
That's
like
what
that.
I thought. Like, yeah, okay, so they're all gonna come back. Nope. Still dead.
What a way to like celebrate your wedding anniversary every year. The same day this kingdom's equivalent of 9/11 happened.
your wedding cake is like you two on top of just all these bodies like climbing up the cake dead.
Yeah. You put your kingdom back together and shit, and like, it's one of those movies where people just know things too. Like, not the information that would make this only a 10-minute plot, but random things, like the secret entryway into the basement that leads to
that was my favorite. Yeah, the fucking the Sleeping Beauty goes. Yeah. So like, there's a bunch of mannequins, and one of them you have to break the neck of, which is kind of funny. And that's what Michelle Pfeiffer does, and a door opens up, and like Sleeping Beauty, she goes up to this one, just goes, huh, and I don't know, it's just like a necklace or something, maybe something I missed, I don't know. But then she just like instinctually like, looks at the head and turns it. I'm just like, well, what the fuck inspired her to do that?
I was glad we were at the first. It's hilarious seeing a movie in a theater that big when we were half the audience in there. So, like, like the only other two people in there were way in the back, and like, so like I could just sit there at that point in the movie and just go, oh, fuck you, like that. And later, where the villain is turned into a goat, and her son sees the goat, like, I don't care if they referenced a goat at the beginning of this movie. Like, that doesn't make any of this still make any sense. He looks and is at the goat and is just like, Mom? Or something like, you had the same eyes? What? What? Why would you think that?
Brad, she had the necklace.
Oh, well.
But clearly, it's not like someone took it off her, while she was flying through the air, gonna be killed or gassed or whatever, like all the other characters. Maybe the necklace fell off and fell on the goat. No, she just got turned into a goat. Yeah. In this third act, that I'd be more likely to believe that, because so many other people die.
And they make a joke about a pun about the horns too. Like, what did they say? I can't remember, but like this.
Something about cover your horns.
Yeah, like I was told her to cover her horns or something. And then like, okay, they get married. here's what the movie ends on, is newly husband and wife are standing on the balcony looking over the kingdom. Maleficent flies
What's left
up.
of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Maleficent flies up and is like, make sure you invite me to the christening. Ding!
Literally makes that sound effect.
It literally does the ding. She winks and ding! And then flies off with the other two, what are they called? Like,
the bird horn people. Yeah, I don't know.
The other two who, like, lost their dad.
Yeah. She's just, I'm so sorry you lost your father. I made a killer christening joke.
You should have been there. I'll try to. It's kind of a you had to be there moment. You won't hear the ding. This close to doing the great Leslie thing where she smiles and ding with the spark on the teeth. Jesus. So when I walked out of this movie, we were both laughing our asses off walking out of this fucking movie.
I just couldn't believe what I saw. I just couldn't believe it.
I looked at you and went like, that last half hour made me be like, well, I really enjoyed myself at this better than The Lion King. The Lion King and
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast. I had a better time at this than Aladdin. Yeah, so this was a weird sit, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was all the emotions. And it did, at least it had all that insanity at the end. So you
go out on a high note. Yeah. But it's like, it's weird because, again, it's kind of, in a strange way, it's well-made insanity because it is like you kind of get into the actual action of it. Like I say, it's shot well and it's edited well, and the rest of the movie is like, I think it's shot nice. It's not edited particularly well, and again, the effects don't look really good, but just suddenly they just literally and figuratively explode at the end. And it just comes alive, even though it's terrible. It's kind of amazing.
It really kind of was. Like, and again, I left having questions because I hadn't seen the first one, so
trust me, I have. You'll have those same questions.
Oh, okay, all right. Like, because I was like, was
answered.
The first one this freaking crazy? I didn't see the first one, like, because the first one came out when there were different sets of us going to different movies. So, like, Dave and Sarah saw the first one, and she liked it, and I don't think he did. Which is kind of course, for the live-action Disney movies. Yeah. But, like, but I, what the hell was I think I might have been at Machete Kills that night. Like, I think they had the better movie.
The first one's not good, but it's just kind of a bland nothing. I think when I first saw it, I'm like, okay, that exists, whatever. And then, like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, I like Sleeping Beauty. I like Maleficent. It's like, no, fuck this movie. Like, I kind of got angry, but it's like, it is what it is. It's just a dull, kind of stupid, bland, another Disney spin-off remake, whatever. I mean, you'd probably forget about it pretty quick.
Sure.
I mean, and like I said, while that one's probably technically better made, at least the tone's the same and everything.
Yeah.
This one's just so insane, I'm never gonna forget it. And it really is just because of that third act. But the third act, it's like the Frost-Nixon interviews. It's like the last third just changes everything else.
It so does. Like, yeah, because I walked, I go
this
like...
is why I try not to walk out of movies. Like, very few movies I'll walk out on, because some movies have taught me, it's like the last, like with The Straight Story, literally the last minute can transform a movie. Yeah. And with this, it's just the last third. And it's like, it's still bad, but it's like, I had a blast. I'm just a fucking blast.
I learned my lesson. The only movie I ever walked out on was the Dinesh D'Souza movie. And I mean, I saw it again later on. But, like, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. But, like, I was like, I missed hologram Klansmen jumping out of a movie screen. I'm like, I'm never taking that risk again. Yeah. I'm going to miss a Klansman jumping out of the screen in the old White House.
I think there's two I walked out on. I walked out on the second Zorro movie because I really liked the first one.
Legend of Zorro?
Legend of Zorro. And I walked out on the remake of The Haunting. I think because they were both based on something I really, really loved.
Sure,
I loved the Antonio Banderas Zorro, and I loved the original Haunting. That's like one of my favorite movies. Which doesn't, because I had to watch them again to review them anyway. So again, I mean, like, kind of use that lesson learned. But yeah, no, this is... like
I just say that about, like, it's like, Hillary's America messed up something I love, birth of a nation. Screw this, I'm out.
So,
how do you recommend this? Like, I mean, I don't recommend paying, like, the premium RPX prices that are astronomical. But, like, I don't know, if you want to see it at, like, a second-run theater and have a pretty good laugh, go for it.
Yeah, if you're in the mood for just I kind of, what was that Matthew McConaughey movie? Was it Serenity?
Oh, yeah.
I say it's kind of like that, where, like, it's pretty dull. I mean, it's got its awkward, funny bits, but it's pretty dull. But then, like, the last third just has you so going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That it's really worth it, and it does transform the first 2/3, because you're just realizing, wait, it's all leading to this? What?
That was when a lot of the actors woke up, too. Like, I mean, like, Angelina Jolie was kind of barely in the last act, but, like, other than that, before then, everyone was...
The Princess.
Oh, my God.
Was on autopilot,
dude.
man.
Most of them were. Most of them were like, this is a contractually obligated, like, movie for these actors. Like, they're acting on, like, a X-Men Dark Phoenix level here.
I don't know. I say, okay, see here, I mean, what I was getting out of it, Ellie Fanning, I think, was still trying pretty hard, I think. But I think everyone else, particularly, I mean, this is what I got, particularly like Jolie and Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
I got we're gonna stick it to prejudice. We're gonna stick it to, looking at people in a different way and then keeping people up, and we're gonna have our villain that doesn't want people to be together, and we're gonna fight for that. So I'm really gonna be the villain. I'm really gonna be the person that doesn't understand, but then open the, like, that kind of Hollywood pushing. So I don't know. It's like, I can't say they weren't invested, but it feels like they were more invested in the message they were trying to get across than their characters.
Just the second week, it makes total sense, because that was the same thing last weekend with the Addams Family movie.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, yeah.
And I liked this way better.
You're never gonna forget this, man.
No, I've already forgotten the Addams Family movie.
It's like, even thinking back to it, I just think back to, like, like the movie I just saw. Oh yeah, that was it. Well, wait, yeah, shit, that was like insane. That was fun. And it's like, yeah, it's rare that I get a movie like that, where like I said, where it's just like, you literally look at the whole thing different based on the last little bit you saw.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still bad, but so much fun.
There are
so
shots
crazy insane.
Where there's all of these powder explosions going off, and the camera will be kind of moving around and quickly, like, zoom in on Maleficent in the background, like it's suddenly shot like Hell's Angels or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's like everything. Well, and the funny thing is, the flying shots in this, I didn't think were particularly good.
Yeah.
I get, maybe it's the editing. I don't know. Like, every time I was trying to get into a shot, it cuts away, it feels like. But again, maybe because it was action too, but that last third, I mean, it's just like, I mean, it was stupid. It was terrible, but I was into it. I was into the stupidity, man.
I'm sitting there going, this is so dumb, but I'm, like, glued to this, man.
Yeah,
I want a third movie. The third movie will come out, and I'll still have not seen the first one.
You still won't be missing much.
Yeah. This one's too normal, lame.
God, even the first movie might be better now, knowing it all leads to this.
Yeah. I need to, like, take a day and just watch the first one sometime. But, like, no, like, if you, I mean...
would you take little kids to see this?
Oh, sure.
I don't know. You think with all the death at the end?
Yeah.
All the fucking little... I mean, to us, those fairies are fucking annoying, but little kids might like them. I mean, it's just like... And I don't know.
I always think back to like the kids' movies we grow up with.
Yeah, but I wouldn't watch a movie like this when I was a little kid.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't watch Maleficent. I'd be like, no, I want to see Return to Oz or something that's a little bit more hardcore, or something like that. Where with this one I probably wouldn't be into it, but like for kids that would be into it, like kids that watch My Little Pony or something like that. I don't know, just generic cartoon. A friendly cartoon, something like that. I mean, this is building up like it's like, the first one's very much, oh, it's gonna be evil, but not really. It's all friendly. Come on, like misunderstanding, like what the first 2/3 of this movie kind of was, and then just suddenly all this death in there. So I
would like, but I mean,
I don't know. I'm not. Would you rate this PG or would you give it PG-13?
I'll bet you it's a.
No, but
I'll bet you it's a PG.
But what would you give?
Would I rate it?
I might put PG-13
because of the tone. That's tough. Because tonally, it's not
it's
that
like a
disturbing.
PG movie,
like,
but that's also kind of throws it off too. It's so weird.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like as far as like taking, I'd have no problem taking a kid to go see this because I mean I remember like because the things were that with that fairy getting killed by Warwick Davis in the movie, like it wasn't.
No, that's like a PG scene, you know, but you know it is like in Star Wars when stormtroopers get shot or one or two occasional like heavy dark scenes in there and stuff like that. Okay, that's PG. I get that. If the stormtroopers are constantly going, ah! You know, disappearing into dust, or Luke is just watching all his friends die and say, no! You know, if like, you get one or two of those in Star Wars, but this is just constant in that third act.
It is, but I mean, I think back to...
Although I guess Return of the Jedi did have kind of that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it is kind of true the more I think about it.
I think to like, I would show, like,
it's an 80s PG.
Kid, like, yeah, totally. This is an 80s G. Like, with kids' movies that I grew up watching that get way darker and more disturbing than this, I'd have no problem showing a kid that. So, like, a movie like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which, I mean, is a way better movie than this, but, like, that... to compare the scene with the shoe is really, really disturbing versus the same thing in this is unintentionally hilarious. And so... by that, I mean, if I have no problem showing a kid Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I'd have no problem showing him this.
You know, maybe the tone is the thing, because Roger Rabbit and those are movies really acknowledge, no, this is heavy, this is dark, this is... So we're going to take our time with it, you know? Like, you got it, you got the consequences, you got the weight. Where with this one is just... constant death and constant quick shots of people going, no! And then they go over here, no! And then they go over here, she's dead, he's dead, I mean, it's like...
we got a wedding.
Yeah, we got a wedding. So, I don't know, maybe just on, like, that basis, like, I'd lean more towards PG-13, but I don't know, I think because those movies acknowledge, like, the heavier, darker scenes, and this one, it's like... it's saying it's heavy and dark, but it's like so fast and there's so much of it so constantly. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, the 80s PG.
Yeah. Only with a giant bear ripping down the door. Oh, that was my favorite. He's a bear now.
Well, that's the thing too. Okay, so that's something in the first one. He's the boy, the bird boy, whatever, is turned into a... he's the one turned into a dragon, which is stupid, you know, but, you know, he's like, oh, why didn't you ever turn me into a bear? And this way, he's like, I wish I was a bear. It's just like, you are a fucking dragon. You are a thing that doesn't exist.
He was just a huge fan of Brother Bear.
I guess so.
He was the biggest fan of that movie. Man, like, so I guess, like, my final thought on this is just... if you do go see it in theaters, just out of curiosity, see like a second run theater or something like that, you don't need to be paying RPX tickets or IMAX tickets or full price tickets or anything like that.
It's okay on the big screen. I can't say it's visually lacking. Like I said, I think it just cuts away a lot from the good stuff. I'd recommend a rental just to go.
I would, at the least a rental.
Just to say, what the fuck?
Yeah, at the least like a rental.
Like I said, it's a, I mean, keeping in mind the first 2/3 are pretty dull and make no sense. I mean,
it's gonna get crazy.
Yeah, but just keep telling yourself, it's gonna get good, it's gonna get good.
Yeah. Do not be going into Addams Family with that mindset.
No.
It's gonna get good, it's gonna get good. It's not. It's really not. Even less so with Jexy. Jared and I will be back tomorrow with
Zombie.
Zombie. No other movies exist for me now, having seen this. So I'm like, what am I seeing tomorrow again? All right, Zombieland 2.
That'll have a smaller body count.
It probably will. I'm like, this Zombieland 2 should have the PG. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Later.
Good night.